The 49ers are 6-3. That is really something that you have to sit back and appreciate before you could parse any of this further, because it's going to be a busy, busy week with the trade deadline on Tuesday. San Francisco has just come off a win here in New York over the New York Giants. It was a lopsided one. The 49ers over 30 points for the first time in this 2025 season. 34-24 over the Giants. This game went along the path that we expected it to. The Giants have a very, very poor defense. The worst run defense in the league, and the 49ers went ahead and took that run defense to the woodshed. 106 yards for Christian McCaffrey. Brian Robinson Jr. stampeded his way to that touchdown in the fourth quarter, and Brian Robinson Jr. ran the ball several straight times in one drive. 49ers running gap scheme stuff. We talked a lot about the gap scheme and the outside zone combination. This is a diverse rushing attack, especially that George Kittle is now back, and the 49ers did exactly what they were supposed to against the worst rushing defense in the league. I'm going to head down to the locker room right after this is done and give you guys the update on Mykel Williams, because this turf at MetLife Stadium might have struck again. We'll see what the status on Mykel is. The 49ers players probably have PTSD. They looked very, very sick to their stomachs. They're all down on a knee as Mykel was in pain down on the field. But then Mykel got up and he did walk off on his own power with a limp, but it certainly could have been worse. I don't want to speculate in one direction or the other, but that was not a good way to put a cherry on top of what was a very good all-around performance from the 49ers against a bad New York Giants team. So the 49ers are now 6-3. The trade deadline is on Tuesday. The 49ers played suffocating offense today. They shielded the defense in the way that we said they needed to shield the defense against the Giants. The defense still gave up some yardage that you don't like to see the defense give up, but the good news is that the trade deadline is on Tuesday, and the 49ers now have a chance to fortify that defense to make a true run. San Francisco is only going to be underdogs in 3 games projected for the rest of this season. Now, maybe other injuries happen and they're underdogs more often, but as of right now, if you had to project forward, they will be underdogs against the Rams next week, but they've already beaten the Rams. That's going to be a showdown back on natural grass at Levi's Stadium. I think Brock Purdy will probably be back for that one. He certainly has a good chance. They'll probably be underdogs on the road against the Indianapolis Colts, and they might be underdogs against the Seattle Seahawks to close the season, although that's still a long ways away. The fact that they are 6-3, the fact that they arm wrestled the Giants into submission in this game today shows you that they are true and firm contenders. They have the benefit of health, increased health on the offense coming up, and they have the benefit of the trade deadline, where Jay Glazer just reported this morning that they are aggressive players. They have the benefit of the trade deadline to spruce up this defense. But how about this game today? Mac Jones opened up 14 of 14. So this New York Giants defense, last week they gave up 2 100-yard rushers to the Philadelphia Eagles. They're not good at all. They've got a good pass rushing defensive line, but they can't really do anything else. Yes, the 49ers need a pass rusher. Maybe they can take Kayvon Thibodeau from the locker room here at the Meadowlands and fly him back to the Bay Area. Or they could find Will McDonald IV, because the 49ers locker room is actually right next to the Jets locker room. And the Jets are off this week, so I'm sure that Will's not around, but that is part of the joke. Grab one of those 2 guys, fly him back to the Bay Area ahead of the trade deadline. All jokes aside, the Cincinnati Bengals are about to lose to the Chicago Bears, and Jay Glazer's already reported that they are, in fact, willing to trade Trey Hendrickson. The 49ers love Trey Hendrickson, so keep your eye out on that. I think that today we saw the 49ers, with Keon White aboard and with Clelin Ferrell aboard, actually generate a pulse with their pass rush. They did not have one of those against the Houston Texans the week before, so 2 additions made a significant difference for San Francisco. Clelin Ferrell just blindsided Jackson Dart in the first half, and Dart was just, I guess, unaware that a pass rush could come from behind him. He was unaware that there's a foreign concept called a pocket in the NFL, and the pocket was formed around him. And what I really liked about that sack from Clelin Ferrell is that it was a pure effort sack. mean, he was obviously initially blocked, but he didn't give up on the play. If this 49ers defense is going to play its way back into solidness this year, or even mediocrity, because I don't think that they're all that good today. They were facing a depleted New York Giants offense and a rookie quarterback. But if they're going to work their way back into respectability, today was a good first step. Way better than what we saw put on tape against the Houston Texans the week before. But the 49ers are going to have to fly to the football. The first drive today really concerned me. The 49ers were headed toward a dark place. Between the embarrassment they put on tape defensively against the Houston Texans last week and the fact that the Giants just drove straight down the field to open this game, 64 yards, just like Swiss cheese against the 49ers defense. They ran the ball extremely effectively on that first drive. I thought that the 49ers defense was close to seeing the bottom just completely drop out from underneath it. That's why the key call of this game came on the 49ers' first offensive drive. They faced a 4th and 1 from inside their own territory. And Kyle Shanahan initially ran the punt team out there, and I was like, are you kidding me? With this defense? I mean, the 49ers defense was just getting cooked. And this dated back to last week. You can't run the punt team out there, especially against the New York Giants defense that we knew was their weakness. I mean, the key for this game was hog the ball for the 49ers. And thankfully, Kyle Shanahan called timeout, realized that you can't punt there. You absolutely have to go for it there. It got the more aggressive play call in. They went with the quarterback sneak, and it was lights out from that point on. 49ers marched right down the field. Jordan Watkins made maybe the most difficult first career NFL catch you can imagine, wrestling the ball away from the defensive back. And then Kyle Shanahan, with one of his best red zone play calls, had Christian McCaffrey leak out of the backfield on 3rd down. Mac Jones found him. Mac Jones started 14 of 14, finishes 19 of 24, 234 yards. Awesome, 135.2 rating. What Mac has given the 49ers as QB2 has been sensational this year. There's a chance that this is the end of the road for him in terms of this QB2 stretch, because Brock Purdy will have natural grass to return on, and the 49ers will need more offensive upside. I know that they scored 34 points today, but we expected them to score a lot today. I think my projection was 27-21 49ers. I knew this Giants defense was bad. Kyle Shanahan knew this defense was bad. The 49ers were able to run for 159 yards. Jones threw for 235 on 9.8 per attempt. He executed it perfectly as a backup. At one point, it did look like his knee was bothering him again. Hopefully, he got out of this MetLife Stadium without a significant injury. He did obviously finish the game, and we're going to be wondering the same about Mykel Williams on the other side. That obviously looked more serious at the end of the game for the 49ers. The concern for San Francisco is and continues to be their defense. Offensively, they're going to get guys back, and even then, I think they have guys who can generally, against a bad defense especially, control the game. It was very helpful to play a bad defense this week relative to the #1 Houston Texans defense they faced last week. So that was just a nice cushion that the 49ers had this time around. But defensively, I mean, you expect it because they lost Nick Bosa and they lost Fred Warner, but there's just so much to address. The pass rush did have more life today. Sam Okawanu, the 49ers dodged a huge bullet. He was carted off the field last week. This week, Sam Okawanu was back out there, registered an early pressure that I thought really helped dictate the game, speed Jackson Dart up a little bit. He's a rookie, so just pressure him and force him to go underneath. It could really help a lot of things. The sack that Okawanu delivered in the second half was very big toward the 49ers holding this lead. Cleveland Farrell's sack in the first half, I thought, really rattled Jackson Dart. Tatum Bethune had 16 tackles today. Had the one personal foul that obviously wasn't good, but I thought that he played solidly. And then, Upton Stout, he keeps on suffering some penalties, but he also made a couple plays today with his 6 tackles. Renardo Green was a lot better this week than last. Had a nice pass breakup there on Wan'Dale Robinson in the second half that helped seal the 49ers win. And I think the fact that he's playing with a pass rush this time, last week it didn't exist. I think that really helps players like Renardo Green. Deommodore Lenoir is always good for the 49ers, but they are still lacking in coverage ability at safety, and they're still lacking in overall pass rush if they really want to make a run at this thing. And that's why Tuesday is so big. That's why we're going to talk about Trey Hendrickson and the Cincinnati Bengals fire sale and the Miami Dolphins fire sale and Mykel Williams injury, because that would be yet another blow to the 49ers defensive line. I'm going to head into the locker room in a little bit. Those of you wondering where I am at MetLife Stadium. That's what it looks like on the field. We'll probably do a show from the field or from one of the booths after daylight savings time has ended. So we are on our last sliver of sunshine. 49ers going to open up the locker room. Kyle's talking to the team in that locker room as we speak. So we're doing the instant reaction right now. It's a muscle flexing victory for the 49ers against an inferior team. It's good to see them put up over 30 points for the first time this season, but nobody's pretending that the 49ers offense is a world-beating offense with the personnel currently available. They started Spencer Burford at left guard today, as we talked about in the pregame show. They hope to get Ben Barch back next week, Brock Purdy back next week, maybe Ricky Pearsall back next week. We'll see if Brandon Ayuk's practice window does open. 49ers averaged 5.8 yards per play. That's solid, nearly 400 yards of total offense, 25 total first downs. I mean, the defense today wasn't gashed, but they did give up 5.3 per play, 300 total yards to Jackson Dart and the Giants. Some of that, I get it, came in garbage time, but it is what it is. Brian Robinson Jr. starred today for the 49ers. That's 2 straight games that Brian Robinson Jr. has notched a big kick return. So when Christian McCaffrey's available, and he's been available all season long for the 49ers, Brian Robinson Jr. is definitely more valuable to this football team than Jordan Mason. So that was a good move in the offseason. And I think Robinson's getting a lot more comfortable running. Some of the gap scheme stuff that the 49ers are running now, and they did what they wanted against the Giants today. They flexed their muscles. But some of the stuff that the 49ers ran today, it looked like Robinson was very, very, very comfortable getting up and down the field. I can't say enough about Christian McCaffrey. 106 yards, 67 through the air. The little swing pass essentially closed the game at the end. I mean, it's like 9 or 10 different receivers made catches for the 49ers today. Good game plan. They spread the ball out against an overmatched defense. And, you look at some of the plays. Juwan Jennings had his first touchdown since the Saints game. His ribs seem to be getting better. Everybody's going to keep an eye on Juwan now because the trade deadline's coming up and teams have been calling about him. But he's a very, very valuable contributor to the 49ers. Made some tough catches today. So did George Kittle. Kendrick Bourne made 2 for 34 yards. Sky Moore had a nice catch, and I mentioned the first career reception for Jordan Watkins. So obviously a lot to like. And, nothing that we learned today about the 49ers is new. The defense is still a gas can. It could blow up in either direction, but they were able to shield the defense for long enough. They held the ball for 33 minutes. They were able to shield the defense from long enough, unlike last week, to neutralize that disadvantage. They took control of the game against the bad defense at the very start when they went for that 4th down. Kyle Shanahan was in a more conservative mentality today, except for the end of the first half when Colton McKivitz got beaten by Brian Burns and the Giants' pass rush flexed its muscles and forced a fumble. But the conservative mentality did not end up biting the 49ers because he was able to get away from his most conservative play call on that 4th and 1 with the timeout, went for the 4th down, and the 49ers put the hurt on the Giants. 34-24. Never forget, this team is 6-3. That is solid. That's really good even if you're fully healthy. They're 6-3 with the most injuries in the NFL. That's a hell of a coaching job for Kyle Shanahan. They are 6-3, set to be favored in most of their games to close this season, with a showdown against the Rams and the trade deadline coming up. It is going to be a hell of a week. So make sure you're following along here. This is the best 49ers coverage there is. There's a look at the field where it happened. MetLife Stadium here in New York. From the press box, I am headed to the locker room. We will talk to everyone soon. Everybody make sure you hit the subscribe button. We are almost at 100,000. So hit the sub button. I'll talk to you in a